Hey everyone, I'm very happy today to have Gary with us. Gary is joining us from CloudAtlas, and the reason why we're here together is to announce the big partnership in between CloudAtlas and WeTransact. Gary, thanks for being with me today to announce the partnership, and I think everybody will want to know a bit more about you, so feel free to introduce yourself.
Well, hello everybody, and thank you very much, Johan. This is great, and we're really excited about this partnership. Just a quick introduction for me. My background is about 30 years in sales and tech sales and mostly enterprise software. Now I'm the managing partner at CloudAtlas. My business partner is our CEO, Justin Murphy. So towards the end of that 30-year sales career, I started to get some exposure to marketplace and co-selling, and started to focus on that. And that eventually led me to Tackle, which of course is a WeTransact competitor, but it got all this exposure to multi-marketplace and some of the challenges that ISVs face when it comes to marketplace. And really, there was this huge gap that we recognized, and I recognized there specifically for readiness and execution. But the more obvious one at the time was readiness. When I started my own company, my focus was really around sales-led growth motion. And the reason I mention that specifically is because it's different from Justin's approach, which was more product-led growth. It took a minute for the two of us to kind of figure out what each other did, and we realized that this is kind of the perfect marriage when it comes to marketplace and the marketplace motion, if I can call it that, where the sales-led growth is directly related to the private offer process, and product-led growth is really more about alignment with marketplace. So we came together, we decided to join forces. I basically folded my services, put aside my brand and so forth, and became part of CloudAtlas. That was around the September timeframe. So in October, we kind of put the model together that we have now. We've gotten in a position where this partnership, we're real excited about, and it's kind of a perfect fit. And I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah, definitely. And yes, indeed, I think it's a perfect fit. And I would like maybe to give our perspective because before we deep dive more on what you guys are doing. I think from our perspective as a marketplace enabler, meaning that we provide a platform for software company to list and sell on the marketplace, we see a different set of blockers to success. One of them is naturally around the change management. The marketplace really creates a mayhem in terms of new processes, in terms of new sales tactic and adoptions. So there's need to be a conduction of the change, which is something that is very hard to do on a platform-only perspective and not providing consulting. And also something that is very clear to us is organization to be successful, they need to rely on blueprints and on things that have worked in the past and not to try to reinvent the wheel. And I think on these two aspects, and I'm speaking under your control, you guys are doing fantastic in terms of advisory.
Well, I appreciate that, and we're excited to bring something to market that's new. And like you mentioned, there's not a lot of clear direction and not a lot of folks who have done this before and have experience to deal with this in a way that's going to end up with success. So it's a great kind of a partnership in that sense because of WeTransact in your business, enabling ISVs to be in a position to be successful and to kind of that first step, getting listed in the marketplace, then going from there to provide all the features and services, within your platform. This is just a very, complementary approach that we offer, which, again, going back to is why we feel it's a perfect fit.
Because we cannot give customer name on this format, but we can say that we have already a few customers in common, and the feedback that I get from them is fairly simple and fairly good, telling we really enjoy leveraging the WeTransact platform for the tech and for the data intelligence that it brings and the outreach capabilities. But when it comes to what day-to-day is, we found the support of a CloudAtlas invaluable. And I think that would be great that we understand a bit more how we engage together. As in today, there's the ability to get a transactional package, which would combine the best of both worlds, which is the WeTransact IP and of course the CloudAtlas advisory. Would you mind walking us through what this advisory looks like from a CloudAtlas perspective?
Absolutely. And I typically, because this whole space, I mean, the marketplace has been around for a while, but the space is fairly new. And so a lot of times our joint customers or the type of customers that we work with, which are ISVs, they're just not familiar with, how to even get started. So what we do at CloudAtlas is we provide basically consulting services. We call it cloud go-to-market services, and our focus is on ROI. And the reason we say that specifically is because the execution part is probably the most unknown and unfamiliar for ISVs. How do we get transactions? So, and that's all set up on the front end by this concept of readiness, meaning all the preparation that you need to do to be effective and to co-sell effectively and to leverage marketplace effectively. So our services are kind of two categories. And again, in terms of framing this, we are the service provider and WeTransact is the software provider. So it's, I think, very helpful for whether it's a partnership or a customer to just understand that very basic, simple piece that, it's services married to your software and essentially acting as a professional services arm. And what we offer at CloudAtlas, we categorize as readiness and execution services. And what I mean by that is initially our first service that we provide to customers is we actually call it Get a Plan. And the general idea there is that most ISVs don't have a plan to go to market. And so we take a collaborative approach where we work with them in a workshop environment and understand their business, their current motion, what their go-to-market looks like from a traditional standpoint, the gaps that they have, and we work with them to build out a plan. And we're applying a lot of automation and AI to this. So it's really a productized service that will enable us to scale to hundreds and in the future potentially thousands of customers by enabling a self-guided approach as well as a consulting-based approach. Typically, we see that customers need both. There needs to be sort of a hands-on approach. But the way our services work is that first, Get a Plan service, at the end of 30 days, we provide a comprehensive marketplace success plan that lays out the different work streams that we recommend. And this is all based on best practices and where there is evidence of success. And we also provide documentation, deliverables of anything that can be provided in that way. But the plan is also a written document that basically lays out everything they need to do. And if they execute the plan, they are certain to be successful in the marketplace. So that Get a Plan service, regardless of, there's typically two categories for ISVs. They're either not in the marketplace yet and looking for direction, and that's typically where the touch point is or the engagement point with WeTransact. And that could also be the engagement point for us. There's also customers who are in the marketplace, but are struggling to transact and to really understand what it takes to get there in a position to transact. And as you know well, if you're not transacting, especially for smaller ISVs, you're not getting the attention of the cloud providers, and therefore your co-sell and the partnership is typically not getting traction. So that whole piece in the middle, I think of it as this major sort of execution gap that I referred to earlier, which is that you get in the marketplace and there's this expectation that things will just miraculously happen when the reality is there's some work. So that's how, after the Get a Plan service, if you follow the journey that it typically a ISV takes, it's get your product approved, and we provide, assistance and acceleration for that service. We help them with listing readiness, so everything they need to do and how to prepare to be in a position to get going with WeTransact. The next phase would be what we call our service Get Transactions. And we're coming to market with some new solutions there that partly driven by some of the feedback we've gotten from WeTransact customers and outsourced sort of a sales desk or a cloud desk, maybe a helpful solution to offer where we can step in and sort of bridge that execution gap on behalf of the customer. And our final service we call Get Optimized, which is basically if you have a more mature marketplace business, this is where we look at how do we implement more repeatable practices and optimize anything that we can within their go-to-market. And again, all of these are services, but they're all supported by a productized service platform so that we can provide as much assistance when it comes to automation of the actual project, but also help in a variety of ways when it comes to the execution services. So that's generally what we do. Again, get a plan, get approved, get listed, get transactions, which is probably the hardest thing, right? And then, get optimized. And all these things, when it comes to customers that we transact, and again, a lot of times the customer will ask to transact in the marketplace. The sales team's not sure what to do at the ISV. WeTransact comes into the picture. Typically, there's a great relationship with Microsoft and very tight relationship and integration there. So, it's important to have some urgency around that, and we can align very well with the Get a Plan service and getting the listing set up in parallel. So great marriage of solutions there. And again, overall, all of that fits in really well to readiness and execution around WeTransact's platform.
That's awesome, and we're mega excited by the partnership. Gary, one last question for you. If people want to know more about CloudAtlas, where should they go?
The CloudAtlas.pro is our website, and a lot of information there. And one thing I would encourage ISVs to do, and also PDMs from the cloud providers who are working with these ISVs, would be to just look at our readiness score tool. It's pretty cool. When you go to our rocket.cloudatlas.pro, that's our portal. If you go into the portal, you can then take our readiness score questionnaire. Once you fill that out and submit it, you get a email that has more of an explanation as well as a link to a report. That the feedback we've gotten is that it's relatively high level, but it's really good at kind of getting that conversation started, pointing out a few gaps, making some suggestions. So that's the recommended approach for ISVs who are kind of like, what do we need for readiness? It's unknown. So the readiness score tool on the website's great, and we could also have follow up with a meeting and just a free consultation to provide an explanation of what we do, kind of an overview, and explore ways that we can be valuable to the customer.
It is stunning. Thank you so much, Gary, for your time.
Thank you very much.